You ever seen a stagecoach wheel just bust right off? Crack. Like a rifle shot, but dragged out, you know? Like a leg bone snapping under a horse that ain't supposed to carry that load. I was 23, dumb as dirt when I saw her tumble out onto that Wyoming dust, skirt riding up just enough to show she wasn't some delicate thing from back east. She hopped up quick, dusted off even quicker, and when our eyes locked, well, I reckoned right then she was running from something bad, and damn if I wasn't about to chase right after, like a fool pup after a rabbit. You ever meet someone and just know they're gonna wreck you? Yeah, that was her. If you're the kind who doesn't mind a little dust on your boots and whiskey in your glass, stick around. This one's worth it. Hit that subscribe button. Lord knows I could use the company. She didn't trust me. Can't blame her for that. I was just some cowboy who happened to be riding past when her world fell apart. Again, I'd learn later. The coach driver was cussing up a storm. Passengers huddled inside like scared rabbits, and there she stood, tall and proud and alone. When I offered her a ride into Red Bluff, she looked at me like I'd just offered her a snake. I carry a knife, she said. Good, I told her. Means you're smart. That got half a smile out of her. Half. I'd spend the next year trying to earn the other half. Ride started quiet. She perched behind me on old Buck, trying hard not to touch more than needed. Trail was bumpy as hell, though. So pretty soon her legs pressed up against mine, hands grabbing my waist when we hit a rut. Sweat from the horse mixing with the heat made everything sticky. Felt her heat seeping through my shirt, smelled sagebrush and maybe some lavender soap in her hair. Fancy stuff. My jaw clenched up. Been a spell since a woman was that close without it being a saloon deal, and I ain't proud of those nights. You got family in Red Bluff? I asked, trying to fill the silence. No. One word. That's all she gave me. So I tried again. What brings you out here then? She was quiet long enough that I thought she wouldn't answer. Then, a job, boarding house, and a man who took everything else. I glanced back. Her face was stone, but her eyes, partner. Her eyes were a storm barely held back. I knew that look. I'd seen it in my own mirror after my father drank himself to death and left me with nothing but debt and a reputation I didn't earn. Man like that, I said, doesn't deserve to be called a man. She didn't respond, just tightened her grip on my waist and I let it be. Storm came fast, the way they do out here. Sky went from blue to black in the time it takes to roll a cigarette, and the wind hit like a fist. Rain followed, cold and mean. I knew we wouldn't make town, so I turned us toward my place, a cabin, nothing fancy, but it had a roof and a stove. She hesitated at the door. I saw it in the way she stopped, the way her hand went to that knife again. I'll take the floor, I said before she could ask. She nodded and stepped inside. The cabin was small. One room, one bed, a table I'd built myself from scrap timber. I got the fire going while she stood by the window, watching the rain. Her blouse was soaked through, clinging to her in ways that made me look away fast. Not because I didn't want to look, I'm not made of stone, but because I could feel her watching me, measuring whether I was the kind of man who'd take advantage. I wasn't. Or at least I was trying not to be. I fixed us a meal. Beans, dried meat, coffee strong enough to strip paint. We ate in silence, the storm hammering the roof, and I found myself stealing glances at her. Her jaw locked tight while she chewed, fingers clutching that tin cup like it'd sprout legs and run off. Eyes skitting away from mine quick. Scared of what? Me? Or something worse? Hell, that coffee was hot enough to scald. Burnt my damn tongue. You ever been married? She asked suddenly. No? Why not? I shrugged. Never found the right time or the right woman, or maybe I'm just no good at it. She studied me, and I felt naked under that gaze. You seem like the type who'd be good at it. What type's that? Steady. Quiet. The kind who doesn't need to prove anything. I laughed, bitter. Lady, I've spent my whole life trying to prove something. Just don't know what yet. She looked away then, and I knew I'd said too much. But she didn't leave. Didn't pull away. And when I reached for a blanket to give her, I grabbed a wildflower from my coat pocket, something I'd picked on the trail without thinking. Here, I muttered, handing it over. Ain't much, just a scraggly flower I snagged off the trail. Her fingers grazed mine as she took it, made my gut twist a bit. Then she tucked it into her pocket and turned away. Thank you, she whispered. I didn't sleep that night. Just listened to her breathe on the bed while I lay on the hard floor and wondered what the hell I was getting myself into. She got the job at the boarding house. Mrs. Stone, the owner, was a hard woman. Fair, but hard, and she didn't suffer fools. I saw her watching as she worked, hauling water, scrubbing floors, changing linens. She didn't complain, didn't slow down. And after a week, Mrs. Stone gave her a key to the pantry. That was trust out here. That was something. I found reasons to be in town more often than I needed. Fixing a fence near the mercantile, dropping off cattle at the rail yard, buying supplies I didn't need, just to catch a glimpse of her. Pathetic, I know. But you ever feel like you're circling something you can't name? That was me. One day, I saw some young pup from the boarding house sidle up to her, his hand on her arm, his mouth running. She smiled, polite, strained, and stepped back. But he kept pushing. I was off my horse before I knew it, my hand on his shoulder, my voice low. She said no. He turned, looked me up and down, then laughed. What are you, her husband? Not yet, I spat out. And damn if that didn't shock the hell out of all three of us. Him glaring, her blinking, me wondering what fool words just fell out of my mouth. He backed off. Smart kid. Later, she found me by the livery, her arms crossed, her eyes blazing. I can handle myself. I know. Then why? Because I don't want you having to. She stared at me, and I saw something shift in her face. Fear, maybe. Or something softer, more dangerous. You don't even know me, she said. I know enough. She turned to leave, but I caught her wrist. Gentle, not holding. Just asking. She looked down at my hand, then up at me, and I saw her throat work as she swallowed. What do you want from me? She whispered. Nothing you're not willing to give. She pulled away, but slower this time. And as she walked off, I saw her hand go to her pocket, where that wildflower was pressed flat. Trouble came the way it always does, quiet at first, then loud. A man rode into Red Bluff one evening, lean and sharp as a blade, with eyes that said he'd done things he'd never regret. I saw him watching her from across the street, and I saw her freeze when she saw him. I knew then. He was the one. The man who'd taken everything. That night, I found her outside the mercantile, her face pale, her hands shaking. He'd cornered her, demanded something. Papers, she said, tied to a mine her family lost. Said she owed him. You don't owe him shit, I told her. You don't understand. Then help me understand. She looked at me and I saw the weight she'd been carrying. The shame, the fear, and something else. Something that looked like hope, but fragile, like it'd shatter if I breathed wrong. I'm not who you think I am, she said. I don't care who you were. I care who you are. She shook her head. You don't know what I've done. A gunshot cracked the air. We both dropped, and I saw him, her ex, mounted, rifle aimed, not at us, but at the sky. A warning. Tomorrow, he shouted. Bring the papers, or I burn this town. He rode off, and I knew he meant it. I walked Grace back to the boarding house in silence, my hand hovering near the small of her back, but not quite touching. The night air was cold, but I could feel the heat of her shame radiating like a fever. At her door, she stopped, wouldn't look at me. "You should go," she said. "Forget you ever met me." "Not a chance." She finally turned, and her eyes were wet. "You don't understand what he is, what he'll do." "Then tell me." We went inside. Mrs. Stone had gone to bed, and the boarding house was dark, except for one lamp in the kitchen. Grace poured us both coffee we didn't drink, her hands shaking as she wrapped them around the cup. I was 17, she finally spit out, voice low, fidgeting with the cup's rim till her nail chipped the enamel. Paused long enough, I thought she'd clam up. Pa died sudden-like. Left us the mine, sure, but nothing else. No cash, no nothing. Mama was coughing up blood by then. Brother just a squirt, 10 years old, and scared of his own shadow. We were sinking fast. She swallowed hard, eyes darting to the window like he might be out there listening. Then this fella, he rode in, acting like Salvation on horseback. Said he'd bankroll it all. Equipment, hired hands, even doc visits for Mama. All for a partnership, he called it. Ha! Partnership, my ass! Her laugh came out bitter, cracked, like dry earth splitting. Wiped her mouth with the back of her hand, continuing softer. Wasn't no partnership. He wanted me. Said a girl alone couldn't handle a mine anyway. Might as well make herself useful, or watch us starve. So I let him. Thought it'd buy us time, save Mama, keep the boy fed. God, I was stupid. Voice trailed off again. She rocked a little in the chair, breath hitching. Mine turned up dry as a bone anyway. Nothing there. But dirt and lies. He snatched the deed. Had papers saying I'd sold it fair. Signatures I never scratched. Forged, probably. And who'd take my word? A girl who'd already spread her legs for it? Mama died that winter regardless. Brother lit out for California as soon as he could walk straight. Been running ever since, trying to outrun the whispers, the stink of it all. She looked up then, eyes wet but burning fierce, like embers in ash. Convinced myself maybe I ain't worth more'n what he turned me into. But hell if I'll let him drag me back. I reached across the table, covered her hand with mine. You are. You don't know that. Yeah, I do. I squeezed her fingers. You want to know how? She waited. Because I was 17 once too. And I did things I'm not proud of just to eat. Stole from a man who trusted me because my belly was empty and my pride was emptier. You think you're the only one carrying shame. Partner, we've all got ghosts. Question is whether we let them own us. She stared at me, and I saw something shift in her face. Not forgiveness. She wasn't ready for that yet. But maybe hope. The fragile kind that breaks easy but grows back stubborn. He'll burn this town, she whispered. He means it. I know. I stood, checked my Colt, felt the weight of my rifle. That's why I'm going to find him first. You can't. Watch me. I found him that night, camped outside town, took my rifle, my Colt, and a plan that was half-baked at best. He was sitting by his fire, cleaning his gun, when I walked into the light. You're the one, he said, not looking up, the cowboy playing hero. I'm not playing, he laughed. She tell you about us? About what she did? Don't care. You should. She's a liar, a thief. Took her family's deed and sold it to me, then tried to back out when the